right, here we go. Once again, In the Dugout. This segment sponsored by the Michigan High School Baseball Coaches Association. A very busy man these days as he is juggling a number of jobs, but he always finds time to focus on what he loves, and that is coaching high school baseball. He is a great friend to this show. You may recognize him from some other things that he's done in previous lives, but he's definitely a man who could sit down and host a show if you need him to. He's hosted this very podcast that you're listening to right now just 1 year ago. He's a man of many talents, soon to be Coaches Association Hall of Famer for his great contributions to the game. The head coach at Madison Heights Lamphere, Adam Wooley. Little inside baseball here. You know, we've struggled. We're trying to get our connection right and everything here, but I think we're good to go. And it's great to have you on the show.
Oh, it's awesome to be here, Lauren, and thanks again for taking time with me. And I do miss being on the other side of the box, so to speak. But I'm looking forward to this interview. It'll be great.
Okay. All right. Good. So we've talked with a few coaches this season who have been longtime coaches. In fact, we've had the pleasure of talking to some guys who really coached a long time at their institutions, and several of them also are coaching at their alma mater, which is what you are as well. You were the class of 1990 with the Rams. How did your coaching journey begin, and who were some of the men that mentored you as a young coach?
I appreciate this question because there's so many people that I don't want to leave out of the mix that have had such a huge and positive influence on my coaching career, as well as my playing career. And that starts with my dad. My dad was my first and my best coach. He had the opportunity to introduce me to the game of baseball and really showed me what it was like to hold on to a leadership position and get everything organized. And it's crazy because I can remember back as being as young as like 8, 9, 10 years old and being the community organizer for baseball games and things like that. So I would say that influence was the number one starting point from there. However, moving on into high school, my dad, and rightfully so, allowed other people to start to, influencing me from a coaching perspective. And I was introduced to the Persicino brothers here at Lamphere High School starting in 1986 with Tim Persicino, who was my JV coach, and then my varsity coach, Frank Persicino. They had just a major influence on how I played the game and a lot of the influence onto what I carry over to this day. In addition to that, Frank offered me my first coaching opportunity as a volunteer assistant in 1994 and 1995. And then from there, I moved in through a different couple of career paths, ultimately settling on TV productions as a teaching position, which led to my first job as a freshman coach under Frank and Tim Persicino. And then ultimately when Frank decided to step aside is when I took over in 2002 as the baseball coach here at Lamphere High School. All right.
So I believe this then is what, your 20th year as head coach?
Yeah, this would be my 21st season.
21st.
COVID took one of those years away. So, 20 years under there. And then on the fields, a total of 23.
Yeah, wow. So over 350 career victories. That includes 7 MAC championships, 6 district titles, a regional championship in 2006. I saw 32 players from your programs have taken their talents to the college level. What a huge accomplishment that is. And you had 1 player drafted. So that's exciting.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So no, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, I would say that, that one of the biggest goals that I had coming into coaching was making sure that our players were well taken care of. And what I mean by that is that use baseball as a vehicle for the rest of their lives. And putting kids into college it's awesome. It's one of the platforms from which I started. And it was really a goal that I wanted to have from day one. And luckily we've had enough talent. And then, I've been smart enough to make enough connections throughout that coaches started to trust early in my career my judgment. We weren't putting kids and, trying to put them into showcases where they didn't fit. And it was just something to me that was real personal because I knew from, coming from a small school like Lamphere, where a lot of people haven't even heard of it, that it was important for us to market our players. And we've had some good ones come through here. You mentioned our draft pick. That's Greg Fettis. Greg was drafted in 2011 and then again in 2015 following the conclusion of his career. And it was an exciting time. I mean, we met people. John Daniels from the Rangers came here and watched a personal workout. We had representatives from the Cleveland Indians come out, Boston Red Sox. And the beautiful thing about that is that I was smart enough to make connections with a lot of these guys, that they're relationships that I've kept to this day and still stay in contact with. And have we had major league talent come through here? The honest answer is no. But to know that we have guys that we can turn to resources and use their knowledge for the benefit of our players, heck yeah, I'm going to stay on top of that. That's for sure.
Absolutely, as you should. And now, full circle, your peers have put you in the Coaches Hall of Fame. What a voyage this has been.
The best thing about this entire journey was Scott Evans, who was the head of the Hall of Fame committee, gave me a call on a Friday night, and I was literally sitting around with my wife, and we were eating ice cream and watching Netflix, and Scott called, and I thought, okay, we're going to take care of some MHSAA business. And, he had let me know that the guys had talked behind my back, and that in this case, it was a good thing, and that I was going to be inducted into this year's class. And honestly, it's very difficult for me to even hold back emotions, now talking about it, because the best memories that I have of my dad and our relationship is being on the fields together and doing all these great things together. And the one thing that really stuck out to me when Scott made mention of it was, he said, we know the challenges that you've had in your community. And he didn't mean that in a bad way. He's just like, right, we're not given anything here at Lamphere High School. Everything that we do has to be earned. And that was like something that was ingrained into my mind from the time that I was a kid, that you got to earn everything that you're going to get. And I try to pass that along to our players. And for Scott and the board to recognize that even though we haven't won a state championship, that we still try to do things at the highest level achievable, it was an honor that they would take notice of that. It was just something that, I finally get a chance to just sit back and say, I'm proud of that, and I have nobody to thank but my players and their parents for like the continued support and the things that they do in this community. And it keeps coming through year after year. That's the incredible thing.
Yeah, awesome, man. And, you've also coached hockey and basketball, even football during your tenure. Like I said, you have to do a lot of things, when you're in a small school or smaller district. But you also have a broad background in broadcasting and media. Can you just give us a brief history of that?
Yeah, sure. That was the original reason why I went, through school is to be a broadcast major. And we started, when I say we, myself and about 6 other people started what is now known as WXOU Radio at Oakland University. And one of the first forays to make, programming possible was to have some of our games get broadcast. And, I knew that there were days when I was broadcasting to a mere 3 to 5 people in the Oakland Center. But I got a taste of it going to the soccer national championships, and they put me on a per diem and they put me on a plane, and I got to go down to University of Tampa and broadcast the national championship there. I believe it was 1994. And I was like, yeah, I could get used to this as a career. And so from there, I took just a chance. I literally walked down to what was at the time known as WDFN AM 1130 studios, and pounded on their garage door and told them who I was and what I was doing, and that I would gladly take an unpaid internship on the morning show. And I did that. And I did that for about a half a year, for a semester. And it led ultimately to my first production and reporting job. So I started doing that on AM radio for WDFN, and my coverage was the beat of the Tigers and the Red Wings. So in the summertime, obviously, I take on the Tigers, and in the wintertime, it was the Wings. And holy cow, what a time to be a reporter for the Wings. We're talking the complete success story of their president's trophy winning team that got swept ultimately to, the brawl that took place and with the Avalanche. And I was there. I was in the Zamboni entrance for that. And then ultimately to the Stanley Cup playoffs, and great experiences that I'll never, ever forget. Incredible relationships with people that I'll never forget. And then that led me into also working into television. I worked for UPN 50, which many people around here that are around my age will remember that. You didn't, that was the free channel that had the Pistons, the Wings, and the Tigers on it.
Right.
Again, had the opportunity to be the beat reporter. It's funny, Lauren, I tell the joke. They're like, well, I don't remember seeing you a whole lot. I said, well, maybe this will refresh it. And it was usually my hand with a microphone,
right.
Being held up and taking the sound back to the talent at the time. So
That's right.
It is what it is. But I had an excellent time, and the ultimate payoff was coming into this classroom that is behind me right now in the studio that's behind me, and getting an opportunity to open doors for then students just like me who were in love with television and wanted to make it a career. So, yeah, again, one of those full circle things and coming back and bringing it back to the community.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's great. And we're seeing more and more schools get an opportunity to have kind of a media studio and have broadcasting kind of classes and things like that to really kind of spur that that connection to something and see if it's something they want to, instead of having to invent it in college, they get an opportunity at the high school level. And I think it's just great. And I encourage that. And I know you're doing great things over there. And now you have to be the athletic director too.
Yep, that's coming up this year. Yep, and I'm looking very forward to that as well. I am, again, going to be succeeding a long-time blue and white Lamphere guy. His name is Russ McKenzie, and Russ has been here for the tenure that I've been here as a varsity coach. Crazy story about Russ is that he was back in the day of when I was introduced to T-ball, we actually used to play competitive T-ball around here, and we lost the championship in my 7-year-old year to Russ's team. And then the next, because they used to have the high school players coach the kids. And then the next year we came back, same format, everything like that. We ended up winning the T-ball championship against Russ's team. But it's funny. I mean, he's had a coaching influence over me, even in the early years and then my transitional years, and then ultimately passing the torch here as the athletic director. And, he's done a fantastic job as a longtime wrestling coach here and a longtime AD. And there are going to be some big shoes to fill. But, we've got some great people in place in our administration team that are looking to do some more progressive stuff. And I'm just looking forward to the challenge of that being the next chapter in my career. I really am looking forward to that. It's going to be a great time.
Yeah, and, a lot of work, but, yeah, very fulfilling. We have state champs will be 20 years old this fall. We'll be starting that. And Russ McKenzie was one of those guys. We were out there in the early days of state champs covering his wrestling team. He was always very generous in his time, and you could see the passion and the love that he has for Lamphere. And it's great that that will be passed on through you. Well, we need an update on the baseball Rams this season. How's the team doing? What are your expectations right now?
Yeah, one of the reasons that we've had so much success this season, I'd be remiss not to mention it, is because of our catcher, Nick Christage. Nick's a two-time playoff quarterback for our football team, but he's been a 4-year starter here at baseball as a catcher, and he'll be taking his talents to Grand Valley next year. Just doing an incredible job at the plate right now, currently hitting .545. And I'm not exaggerating the book. He does an incredible job. We've got it on video, so you can't fake it.
Right.
And then behind the plate, he's thrown out runners to a 57% clip right now. Mm-hmm. And he's just the total package when it comes to I always tell him, because he's, obviously a little bit younger, right? He's the Steve Eiserman of our baseball team. He's I'll show you how to do it type of a kid. Not a big rah-rah guy, but he's definitely on top of great leadership by example. And we've also had some key pitching from guys, Blake Holt, a junior, and Aiden McGinnis have led the way. So overall team ball has been, the reason for this success. And when we do that and we execute, we're a dangerous team. From time to time, the offense will stall, though, and we've run into that a little bit. So, we just got to make sure that we're putting things together right before districts, because we're back in that buzzsaw type of a district with Notre Dame Prep, Cranbrook, and Country Day this year. But, like I said, we've been through the trials. We've faced tough teams. We're ready to compete against anybody.
Okay, last question for you then real quick. State Champs is going to be live streaming the Michigan High School Baseball Coaches All-Star Game as we did a year ago, and you served as the color man on that game. This year it'll be on Monday, June 20th at Comerica Park. And you coached the 2015 All-Star Game, so you're familiar with, what a great event it is, obviously, from both a coaching perspective and just as a fan and a broadcasting perspective now. And this year we're going to have 2 All-Star Games. So many players are going to get an opportunity to finish their high school career as an all-star. It's just really great news. We're really excited about the fact that we're going to get to broadcast 2 games.
One of the best ideas that the MHSBCA has ever had is opening this thing up, because, just on a personal note, I've had a couple of players that didn't fit the criteria. It was open to a lot of D1s and, guys that were all-stars and should have been playing in that game, didn't get the opportunity to be able to do it. And I just think it's just a more equitable situation when you open it up to the 2-game way that they're doing it right now. So, an already great event, like you said, is going to be even that much better, because now the world's going to get a chance to see our players, via YouTube or in person down at Comerica Park. And I just think it's a great opportunity for everybody involved and an excellent idea on behalf of the Coaches Association. You're going to see some of the best players in the state of Michigan go at it this year. And it was like I told, again, our catcher, Nick Christich, was named to the team. I told Nick, I said, when you get out there, because we don't get a chance to play on Comerica's field, I said, just absorb it all. Look at your feet. Look at the surrounding areas. Embrace it all. And I would suggest that to any coach that gets a chance to do it. When I saw my name and my face up on the video board up there when I had that opportunity in 2015, I told the story to Jim, the late Jim Evans, great reporter for a long time. I told him, I said, that exercised a nightmare that I'd had, that I got called up to the Detroit Tigers and I couldn't find my uniform. I finally, I don't have that dream anymore. So I said, just take it all in and enjoy it, because it is an incredible event, and the baseball that's played here in the state of Michigan, as we know through your DJ LeMahieu's and Jacob Cronenworths, we got some pretty talented kids out here, and there's some great players that are going to be playing in this game for sure.
No doubt about it. We're really looking forward to it. Adam Wooley, thank you so much for joining us in the dugout. Good luck the rest of this season, and congratulations once again on the Hall of Fame, my friend.
Thank you for everything that you do, Lauren, for high school sports, and thanks for putting up with this internet connection tonight. But seriously, you do an outstanding job and do a great justice to some kids who put in the work, and it's just an awesome thing that you and your crew do there. Thank you so much.
Yeah, we've got a great team, and we're looking forward to finishing it out strong. It's going to be a great end of the baseball season. So once again, Coach, thanks for being here.